This is Jessica West for Xcorps TV. I'm here with Indrani Pal-Chaudhuri, and we're here to discuss her film for the La Jolla International Fashion Film Festival.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
We're excited to talk to you about your film. Tell us about it.
Well, it's a playful feminist fantasy that counter-colonizes the male gaze. It's called Manhatta, and it explores intersectional objectification. So it's a lot of words for a short film.
Yeah, well, it was pretty powerful. And my sense that when I watched it was that things aren't as they seem. And then you kind of get to the end and it sort of captures that a little bit very explicitly. So how were you inspired to do this work?
So I started on this project actually with a few friends. So with the producer, D.K. Reed, and executive producer, Ramin Tabib and Alyssa Mello. And we were all thinking about how we could capture this moment in time where people are trying to understand the relationships between us in new ways, trying to have much more empathy and to put ourselves in each other's shoes. And one thing that really stood out for me was the role of fantasy in helping us to see what it's like to be someone else. So it's a playful approach to the feminist struggle of looking at the way that so much of film and media and culture is framed through a male lens, typically a white male lens. And so we wanted to challenge that, but do it in a way that people could relate to it and not feel, not feel that they need to push away, but rather to understand better what it is that women go through and the ways in which our experiences are so different.
Yes, I think it was so well captured in the film. I noticed one thing too when I was watching it, the musical selection was really powerful, and I felt so many emotions, but I think it was, of course, intentionally done, but I felt like despair almost for this character who was like wishing for something and he wasn't as it seemed, and then it transitions all the way through to this very peaceful place. So tell us about how you picked the music for this.
Well, I worked with a wonderful editor, Peter Mostert, and a phenomenal music composers called Ash and Spencer Music. And they created these beautiful tracks, and we played with how the music could really enhance the mood, because this piece is so much about a mood journey. And it really, we wanted to encapsulate all the different layers of complexity, of yearning, of fear, of that fear of being alone, but also the fear of being an object, of everyone chasing a person. And of course, our main character, played by Meech Robinson, he really gets to experience a whole sort of the whole spectrum of desire, being desired but too much, and then wanting to have answers, so he's chasing after. So it's this push and pull that I think is really interesting.
And then can you tell us a little bit about your career and the role that fashion film plays in it?
Sure. Well, I began as a fashion photographer and a portrait photographer and advertising photographer. And I was very fortunate at a young age when I started to be discovered by David Bowie. He mentored me. He gave me my first album cover, my first book cover, and then about a decade later, my first music video directorial debut for his Valentine's Day, which was the second last video released during his lifetime. So that was a great honor to work with him, and I learned so much from him and from Iman, his wife, both about fashion and about filmmaking and storytelling and marketing. You know, there's so many different areas in which they both are such masters. So I was very lucky. So being a woman of color, an LGBTQ community advocate, and also a woman who's an immigrant. I feel like I've come from so many different worlds. And so part of what was exciting for me with this film was to express some of that in a way that people could relate. What is it really like to be in someone else's shoes is something that we often don't think about as much as we should. So I just really enjoy, as a filmmaker, exploring those kinds of themes.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I really appreciate your time today and just taking a break to talk with us about your film. So, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
If people want to reach out with you and get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I have a website. It's indrani.com, INDRANI, and you can contact me there. You can also see all of my latest works, and I'm really thrilled to meet everyone.